Aloha everyone, I'm Dr. BethAnne. I am an intuition coach and I teach others on learning to live intuitively and embody their intuition. So we are talking about the topic of intuition for the month of October. And in this short video, I want to share what I think is the most important thing in order to cultivate our relationship with our intuition. And that is making space to listen. Period. It sounds so simple, but the only way that we can develop a relationship with our intuitive abilities is to have space to work on that relationship. And I really like the word relationship because that is what cultivating our intuition is about. Our intuition is something that each of us has it. And we all have different ways that it manifests inside of ourselves. But like any relationship, it has the ability to grow. It has the ability to be a healing energy in our life. It has the ability to be a generous giving energy in our life. And if we're not making space to develop our relationship with our intuition, then just like any other relationship, it really can feel like it starts to wither and starts to feel malnourished. So the number one way that we cultivate a relationship with our intuition is through the simple act of making space. And that's why I think it is so helpful to have some sort of mindful meditation, intuitive practice that works for you, because we're all individuals. So this is all according to who you are and what your individual needs are. But it's important to have a practice, and it's important to do that practice on a regular basis. Regular as defined by you. And what I mean by that is if you're somebody who your intuitive practices will say like full moon tarot or new moon tarot or something like that, that is awesome. Do that. Do that around the moon. Set a pattern around that, because what you'll see is when we start doing the same kinds of intuitive practices, that's when we really start to notice nuances. We notice shifts from the last time we did it. We notice that we pull the same cards and that the message behind them is changed. We start to notice the subtleties within the pattern. You know, if your practice is yoga and that's something that you do several times a week and you really get a lot out of, I'm not a yoga person, I've only done it a few times, but you know, usually at the end there's breathing and there's things that you do where you're in silence, and you really notice during that time that you feel like you best hear yourself and you're best in touch with yourself and your flow. Like, awesome. Do your yoga. You know, if you are somebody who journals daily and who does, I call it intuitive writing, where you just do free flow writing and you allow yourself to have a stream of consciousness without judgment and curiosity, you will start to notice themes that come up. You will start to notice what's the difference between mental chatter and what's the difference between your inner voice. When we have a practice, like any practice, it allows us practice, right? Like practicing the piano. When you are learning the piano and you practice daily as you're supposed to, or multiple times a week at least, you start to notice the subtleties in things. You learn the feel of the keys. You can feel, especially the more advanced you get, when you've struck a chord too hard and it called for soft in the sheet music, or when you hit a wrong note. It's through practice that we really learn the intricacies of our intuitive voice. And so that's why I think the number one thing we need is just to make space. When we create space, we have time to invest in our intuitive relationship. We have time to start to notice the intricacies, and we start to better tune into how our intuition speaks to us, because our intuition tends to be very subtle. Sometimes it's really loud and you will feel that sense of don't do that, or you need to get out of this relationship. But a lot of times our intuitive voice is quiet. It operates at a different frequency and a different resonance than our mental chatter. And so the best way to be able to learn to listen is to make space in order to learn to listen. So if you're looking for an intuitive practice and you don't have one, and you're thinking, wow, that sounds really great, what do I do? You can do any of the ones that I mentioned. I also suggest mindful walks in nature, where you go to the same place and you just pay attention. You pay attention to what's in your heart, and you pay attention to your thoughts that come up during the walk, and you try and do the walk and listen to your heart, and you just notice, what do you feel? What thoughts happen? I also suggest writing. I'm a writer, so I'm always going to lean in that direction. I teach intuitive writing as well to people, and intuitive writing, like I said, it's just a stream of consciousness. But what I think like really can make it as intuitive writing is once you just get out what you're feeling, I think it can be really awesome to like pull an oracle card and just write down what it evokes in you. Or you can listen to a song and write down what it evokes in you. If you have a question about your life, think of your question and then put your hand on your heart, because your heart is your gateway to soul and intuition is the voice of soul. Put your hand on your heart, close your eyes, ask the question, and then pick up your pen and start writing and just see what comes out without judgment, just observation and curiosity. So, good intuition starts with a good intuitive practice. And the last piece that I would add to that is the whole idea behind this is that it's a practice that works for you. If you feel like it's something you have to do and it feels like a should, then it's probably not working for you, because time with our intuition most like ideally feels delightful. It feels curious. It feels fun. It doesn't feel like something that feels heavy or like we have to, or like we're laboring to be better spiritual beings by doing this. It should feel like something that we think, oh my gosh, I'm going out to like coffee with a favorite friend, except the favorite friend's intuition. You take yourself out and you listen to what you have to say. So make it work for you. Find a practice, pay attention, and start seeing what comes through. We will be talking more about intuitive development the entire month of October, so feel free to subscribe to this station if that calls to you. And I've got all sorts of other stuff on my website, BethAnneKW.com. Thank you so much for joining me in this space. Aloha and light.